Hey, this is Mike Barnes, the Financial First Responder. Happy Friday. Hey, listen, I want to take a few minutes and I want to talk to you about some things that have been in my mind for a couple of days. Now, when we last talked, we talked about the 7 financial mistakes that 20 to 30-year-olds do. Now, today, I'm going to talk to you about the 7 deadly financial mistakes that 30 to 40-year-olds do. Now, so let's start out with a story, because everybody loves a good story. So when I was between my 30s and 40s, and I'm a lot older than that now, I made a lot of financial mistakes. I'd been married for some time, and I was still making some financial mistakes. If you don't believe me, one of these days I'm going to see if I can get my wife to come on camera with me. She looks a lot better than me. She's in a lot better shape than me. And she's the better part of me. But she can tell you a lot of the financial mistakes I made. At least we learned together. So without further ado, let's talk about mistake number 1 that I'm quite sure I made. Now, mistake number 1 in the deadly mistakes that a 30 to 40-year-old makes, I'm gonna put deadly here. That first one is ignoring retirement savings. Now, what's the problem with ignoring retirement savings? The first thing that we would say is you don't want to procrastinate anymore. Now, you're a young professional. You probably got maybe your first or your second job, and they asked you to fill out some paperwork for a 401k. Or maybe you were at your local bank or at some financial institution and they talked about an IRA, a Roth, or traditional. And you say, nah, that's not for me. Well, here's the problem. If you don't understand by just putting off 1 year to the next, and for some of you, you graduated from college, or you've been in the military, or you've been on the police force, the fire department, or working in your profession as a medical professional, and you've had an opportunity to make some money. You now are driving a nice vehicle. You're living in your dream apartment area or your dream house, and savings is the last thing that's on your mind. Because your biggest expense is probably your mortgage or your rent. So you're not really thinking about, hey, someday I'm going to be older. And so you ignore what you need to do. Now, what I always say to people, and this is not, I am a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice unless we are under an agreement with each other. But this is just a guideline. So when you think about ignoring your retirement, what I like to say is you want to get to the point where you starting out with at least 10% that you're willing to pay yourself first. Okay, so 10%. We're going to use that as a guideline. For you that have the 401k, the match, things of that nature, they will pay you up to sometimes 3 to 5%, depending on how your company sets up their 401k. All right. If you're a teacher and you have a 403b, obviously that is a program that you would actually do. And so you're not getting a match on that. And so if you're in the fire department or the police department, they might have a 457, they might have the 401k, they might even have a pension. But the key is you need to put up 10% of what you make. So let's say you make $50,000 a year, or $60,000, or $75,000, or $100,000. If it's $50,000, you're gonna put $5,000 up. If it's $60,000, you're gonna put $6,000 up. If it's $75,000, you're gonna put $7,500 up. And if it's $100,000, you're gonna put up $10,000. Now, the max that you can put in some of these programs, you'll be able to find out from your HR managers who would be able to better help you with your benefits package. Okay, so I don't want to give advice based off of everything that you could see. Now, what you would also look at is our next thing is people they're overlooking their insurance needs. Now, you've decided to get married, you're a young couple, you haven't really looked at your benefits at work, and you haven't really said, hey, I got a family, I need to make sure I have insurance correct. Because most of the time, most people think their insurance needs are their car insurance. It might be the ability to have disability insurance. Because here's the thing, let's say you're working a job and you get hurt. Normally you have workman's comp. However, wouldn't it be nice if you had your own policy outside of work that if you got disabled, it would pay for you in the event you couldn't do your job anymore, okay? And there are different types of policies out there, and later I'll be going into exactly some of those disability policies. But people insure their car, people insure their life, people insure their house, they do rentals insurance or they do homeowners insurance. People will even insure their pets, but they won't insure their income. So disability insurance is a biggie. Obviously, life insurance is a biggie. You remember, if not, go back to the dime theory where I taught that in a previous webinar or YouTube event, and look at the dime theory. That's death and debt, income, mortgage or rental property or rent, and education. So go back and look at that. Make sure that you look at all of your insurance needs. Take the time to get with a professional, i.e. the financial first responder, or someone that you know in your local area that can sit down and give you the best advice for the insurance. Seek out an insurance professional. All right, next, we want to stop underestimating our family planning costs. Now, you have these children, or you're newly married, and now it's the two of you. It's not you and your mom, it's not you and your dad, it's you and your spouse, okay? Or your significant other, your partner, whatever terminology you young people are using these days. But it's the two of you. And you want to have a family, whether you adopt or whether you have children yourself, there is going to be some costs. And a lot of times those costs are never really thought about until after the fact. I remember I was talking to my dad and my daughter, Caitlin, she was young. And I said, Dad, why didn't you tell me it was going to be so hard? He was like, well, son, if I told you, you'd miss half the fun. And so parents don't typically tell you how much Pampers are going to cost, daycare is going to cost, visits to the doctor if you have co-insurance. So you want to make sure you have good health insurance. And you want to make sure you have good insurance and planning for your actual children. Like even the fact of where you're going to send them to school, whether it be a public or private nursery, preschool, things of that nature, there's going to be a cost to that. And a lot of times people don't think about that, and unfortunately our parents don't tell us that, right? So I'm telling you, listen to me, Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. And somewhere in here, I want you to like and subscribe this channel because I'm going to keep giving you information that drives you to financial independence and financial freedom. And I know those are buzzwords, but I want you not to make the mistakes that so many other people make. So next, they don't diversify their investments. That's a big no-no. What does that mean by diversifying their investments? Some people come to me and they'll say, hey, I got an IRA already. Okay, I got a Roth, I got mutual funds, I got stocks accounts, I have all these different things. And I'm saying, that's great. Did you do an asset allocation questionnaire? Well, what's that? Well, whoever you work with, they would have asked you some questions. They would try to see what type of investor you are, right? I met people that have put a lot of money only in fixed investments. And there's nothing wrong with that if that is your risk tolerance. However, we talked about the rule of 72. The higher the interest rate, the faster your money will compound. So 72 divided by the interest rate gives you the exact point in time your money will compound, double, or grow. So when we say that, we have to make sure that you understand Are you diversified, meaning you have done some type of risk analysis or asset allocation questionnaire? And then is it weighed properly over your total portfolio? The next thing we looked at is people are still neglecting, number 5, that emergency fund. I don't know why you 30 to 40-year-olds don't think that you need an emergency fund, or as I like to call it, a life happens fund. You need this. Stop playing. So the rule of thumb is this. Let's say you work a job and it's just you. You need at least 3 months set aside of your net income. And that net income needs to be of your operating, I don't want to say operating expenses because it sounds like a business, but your finances are a business. So it needs to be your expenditures that you use for living life. So that would be your utilities, your rent or mortgage, your car payment, your insurances, things of that nature. Typically, that's what it is, right? And so we multiply that times 3. Now, if you're married and it's 2-person income, you would have 6 months worth of income, right? Now, let's say that one spouse works while the other one takes care of the kids at home. You want to have 6 months still. And so when you get with whoever you designs your financial plan or sits down and talks to you about your financial wherewithal, you want to look at what they're talking about as far as having that emergency fund, because that's key. That's key. That will stop you from overcharging on your credit cards. That will give you a cushion. Let's say you lose your job. Let's say you have that disability where you didn't have the disability insurance, but you had the emergency fund. At least you'd have some type of cushion to keep you from having a financial problem. That would probably be the best way to say that. Now, you fail to update your financial goals or objectives. You should be constantly, as between 30 and 40 years old, you should be constantly updating your financial objectives. Like, what do I mean by that? You say, Mike, what would the financial first responder say to me? Okay, if I say, hey, we want to take a trip to, let's start out somewhere in the Caribbean. Let's say we want to take a trip to Aruba or Jamaica. And we want to take it by the end of 2024 for Christmas. You can actually backtrack your way into how much the trip is with flights and everything, and then save on a monthly basis so that when it's time to go, you don't have to put it on a credit card, right? That's an option. Let's say that you want to go to Spain or Italy, or you want to go to Rome, or you want to go to Paris or London, or one of those places, right? True story. My wife and daughter went to London to see Beyonce. Now, I know that these 2 women planned this trip because they went on it, and I haven't heard them complain about money because of the trip. And they had a blast, but they planned for it. And besides, who wouldn't want to see the queen, right? I call her the queen, Queen Beyonce. But my point is that when you have financial objectives, you need to constantly update them. You need to say, hey, we want to put money down on a new car. Then we can save over time. And then when it's time to do the contract through our bank, we go get the approval from the bank. And then when we go into the car dealership, we don't let them waste our time. We come in with the old car that they're going to give us some money for based off of what it's worth. And then we're going to give them the money from either the bank or the money from where we saved it. And then we're going to walk away. You heard me right. You're going to walk away. You don't need their financing. You don't need their money. You already came in prepared. It lessens the time that you're in a car dealership. And I don't know if you 30 to 40 years olds have bought a car in a while, but it is an all-day daggone experience, which I hate. Take the funding with you and go get the car you want. Go through a credit union because you'll probably get a better rate. Now, that's to help you with your financial objectives. Now, debt mismanagement. Oh my goodness. Debt mismanagement is one of the number one killers of you 30 to 40 year olds. What do I mean by that? Some of you still think that you're in the partying stage. You forgot that you got bills. So what you do is, as soon as you get paid, or what I call transfer day, I got that from my mentor, Dr. Myron Golden. Transfer day, you tend to actually be like, or you consider that you are, oh, well, every 2 weeks I get paid, or every week I get paid, or once a month I get paid. And when I get paid, that's when I'm paying my bills. And that is a transfer day, right? You're transferring it from your bank account or your investment account, however you have your money deposited, to the person or the individuals or institutions that you owe. And sometimes we overspend more than we make. Not a good thing, 30 to 40 year olds. Guess what? The financial first responder has done that. It's not a good habit. You should never spend more than what you make. Ever, 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 ever spend more than what you make. Now, as I've told you, we talked about ignoring your retirement savings. Don't do that. Overlooking your insurance needs. Don't do that. Understanding family planning costs. Definitely don't do that, because your children will cost you more money over time, because as a good parent, you're going to take care of your children. Not diversifying your investments. Definitely don't do that, because the one thing that you cannot get back, you can get money, but you can't get time back. Neglecting your emergency fund, don't do that. Failing to update your financial goals and objectives. You always want to update those financial goals and objectives. Hey, listen to me. Update your financial goals and objectives, because once you do that, everything else will come into play. And then don't mismanage your money. Now, I appreciate your time. Do me a solid favor. Like and subscribe this video. And I look forward to talking to you. God bless and happy Friday.